say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all?
Good. Thank you.
All right. First of all, we would like to extend to each and every one of you, individually and all of you together collectively, our deep appreciation at co-creating with us this interaction, this transmission, this connection between our reality and yours. Each and every time you allow such a connection to occur, it expands all that is in many ways and gives us an opportunity to experience through each and every one of you many of the different ways that the infinite has of expressing itself in creation. So we thank you for this gift. We will allow the idea of interaction to begin at this time with questions, if you wish. Oh, not all at once.
Does anybody have a question?
Bashar.
Yes. Good day.
Good day. Thank you. Thank you so very much for this communication.
All right. Thank you as well. And you are welcome.
Someone who is not here asked me if I would inquire as to what you may know about the history of a historical religious figure in our time called Mary Magdalene.
Guys?
And they were curious as to what is her true history.
Well, we cannot give you all of it, but you all understand, as many of you already are beginning to realize, that she was, in your terms, Yeshua, chief disciple. You understand?
Yes.
You understand Yeshua?
Yes. Yes.
Yeshua, what you call Jesus.
Yes.
In the Aramaic tongue, Yeshua. And she was his chief disciple. It was given to her what is called the arcane and ancient knowledge to share with the other disciples. It was given to her so there would be the balance of the male and the female in this way, as was understood to be important by Yeshua. And in this way, it was given to her to disseminate that information upon what you would call his departure or relocation. But of course, because of the times, because of the cultures, much of that was overlooked, lost, suppressed, and so forth. Nevertheless, in that sense, she made many journeys, traveled to many lands, disseminating information, and of course, the primary information at that time was not so much what you would now today recognize as religious, but spiritual, metaphysical, and the reflection and reassurance that what Yeshua was saying was not that you should follow, but that you should lead. That you should all recognize and awaken within yourselves that you are all Christs, all Buddhas, all Krishnas, all reflections of the infinite in your own way. And that to express that, to walk the path, to be the way, is to simply be your own version of that idea. Of course, again, much of this was lost. But now, your society is awakening to these notions and beginning to recognize the importance of reestablishing the balance of the male and the female energy, as in that particular modality represented by Yeshua and the Magdalene. You understand?
Yes.
Does that answer your question specifically enough, or is there some other avenue you wish to go down with this?
Many wondered if she bore children from Yeshua.
Yes.
So there is a Jesus bloodline
Yes.
on the planet today.
Yes. What is commonly referred to as the Merovingian. You understand?
No.
There is a term, Merovingian. Some might pronounce Merovingian. The Merovingian bloodline is the bloodline of Yeshua. You can do your research and look up the word. All right? Yes.
Did Yeshua or Jesus, many have said that he was an ascended master as he incarnated into this planet, and he was from another planet like yourself.
No, not really. The idea is more a recognition of a connection to a higher frequency or dimension of reality rather than specifically what you would understand as a planet. You understand? but did not even really call himself an ascended master. You understand?
Yes.
Simply said, everyone is a master. The idea of the so-called second coming on your planet is simply the awakening within each and every individual of that truth. You understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Does that help you?
No.
Yes.
Did someone say no?
I said no.
All right. How does this not help you?
Well, I was just wondering,
Yes.
Jesus,
Yes.
does he come back also, though, in an enlightened form, or that we will know him, or is it, like you're saying, just inside ourselves we will know him?
Well, there is nothing just about it. But the idea is that when you, each and every one of you, achieve the vibrational frequency within yourselves individually, you will also then be able to perceive that individual in the reality plane in which he exists. So in a sense it is both. But you have to meet him halfway. You understand?
Well, how would that be accomplished by us humans on Earth?
Well, very easily. Would you like me to explain how?
Yes, I would.
Well, thank you very much. It is actually very simple. Of course, humans have made it very complicated because we understand that humans love to complicate things. But that is all right because everything is valid. Nevertheless, there is actually a very simple way to understand how to accelerate your vibrational energy to the plane that Jesus was talking about. Of course, a lot of it has to do with love. You understand?
Yes.
Unconditional love. Now, if you are expressing unconditional love, you are expressing not only unconditional love for others, but you are expressing unconditional love for yourself. And the one way you express unconditional love for yourself, or let's say the strongest way you can exhibit the expression of unconditional love towards yourself, is to be yourself as fully as you can. To be the true you were created to be. How do you go about doing that? All right, well, thank you. I will tell you that too. So, the idea of being yourself as fully as you can be is really summed up in a very simple principle. You have all heard it on your planet, but perhaps have not understood exactly how important it is, and I will explain to you what it is and why it is so important. And this is the idea of following your excitement, following your passion, acting on your bliss and your joy. You have all heard this, yes?
Yes.
But many of you do not understand why this is so important. As I said, I will explain. The idea is this, as you say, in a nutshell. The idea you call excitement, the idea you call joy, the experience, the feeling, the sensation itself of excitement, joy, unconditional love, that vibration in your body is your body's way of translating, your body's way of experiencing the vibration of energy that is actually most representative of your true natural self. That's what that feeling is. So when you are in joy, when you are in love, when you are excited, happy, passionate, engaged, involved, active, that vibration, that feeling itself is the feeling, the physical translation of the energy level that represents your true core natural being. Is that clear so far?
Yes.
It's like right now, that's how I feel. It's like this
All right.
thing is very exciting.
Yes.
Joyful.
Well, thank you. Very good. The idea is that when we have these interactions, we always radiate that frequency and give you an opportunity to reflect it back. It is not us doing it, but it is you accepting our invitation to match our frequency. You understand?
Yes.
Is there a color to it?
Well, it is beyond what you would call the visible spectrum. Yes, there is, but not anything that has a label in your reality. You follow me?
Yes.
All right. Now, to move ahead with this concept, when an individual then will understand that acting on their passion, their highest passion, at every given moment, is truly representative of their true natural self, and they do that, they take action in that direction every moment of every day, as often as they can, to the best of their ability, then they are amplifying that vibration outwardly, radiating it outwardly, giving it off so that other people can pick up on it, match it, harmonize to it, synchronize to it if they wish to. And that then steps up their energy, and on and on and on, geometrically, exponentially, around your planet. This can happen that way. But the idea, first and foremost for yourself, is that when you act at every given moment in faith and trust, that the thing that excites you the most at that moment is the thing you need to do, because that's who you are, most truly, then by your actions, by taking action on that, you are reinforcing in thought, word, and deed, physically anchoring in physical reality that vibration. You are instilling, infusing, as it were, that frequency into your physical reality and allowing great transformation to take place in your life and becoming, in a sense, magnetized more along that vibrational line, and so attracting to you all the circumstances, situations, people, places, and things that are reflective and representative of that particular vibration in reality, and so your life becomes an ecstatic explosion of synchronicity. You follow me?
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Or is there still some aspect of this you would like clarification on?
No, I'm just just very happy about the answer, I guess, and excited.
You guess?
I am.
Thank you.
And I
Yes.
still wonder about color, because
Yes.
that's very important to me.
Yes.
And
Well, you can look at it as a very, 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 very high violet if you wish. It will give you at least some idea of how to connect to it.
okay.
But here's the key. Use your own imagination, because your imagination is key to your frequency. So however it is you wish to envision that frequency as a color, the way your imagination chooses to do it will be the way that's right for you. And will work best for you, because your imagination is keyed to you. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes, along with that, I'm wondering,
Yes.
feeling the energy too with the color, does that make any difference when you try to be in a state of higher awareness, I guess?
You mean imagining the color at the same time that you are taking action?
Right.
No, it has no effect at all.
Thank you.
Do you believe me?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because the energy is much more powerful, maybe, that I feel, instead of really the color. It's just maybe an added bonus.
All right, but you see, added bonus means it has an effect.
Okay.
And when I said it has no effect at all, I was giving you an opportunity to trust that your imagination is telling you what's true for you, regardless of what I have to say about it. You understand?
Yes, thank you.
You see, the idea is, of course it has an effect if you say it has an effect. Anything that you believe has an effect, has an effect. Anything you don't believe has an effect, has no effect. It's that simple. It all comes down to belief, definition of reality. What you define reality to be is what you experience reality to be. So if you prefer that color added to it creates an effect, then it will, for you, because that's what your imagination has said works for you. If it doesn't matter. Some other tool will work for you, because they're all just symbolic, reflective tools. But you, shall we say, infuse them with the energy that allows them to have an effect. In essence, they don't really have an effect. I was telling the truth in that sense. In essence, you are the one creating the effect, but you're creating it through symbology that works for you to allow you to create the effect more easily in your belief system structure. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bashar, does that also apply to a physicality that might be applied to you, or are you just strictly vibration?
Are you talking about me personally?
Right.
I do have a type of physicality.
You do have a type of physicality.
Yes, we are, as a species, evolving from physicality to non-physicality, but you would still perceive us as having a physical representation not too dissimilar from your own. But let me remind you, it's all a matter of degree and it's all relative. To individuals who are living on your planet, say about 1,000 years ago in your terms of time, if they were capable of seeing you now, today, all of you, they would see you more as glowing light, because your vibration is so much evolutionarily higher than theirs. Even though to yourselves, you all look normal and think you look today the way you used to look 1,000 years ago. But to someone from 1,000 years ago, you wouldn't look the same at all. So much the same way you might perceive that I have a physicality, but I would seem to glow way more than a human does. You understand?
Uh-huh.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Yes.
I have a question about how to change. My question is, I seem to be able to control and be aware of my conscious thoughts the more I'm in the present moment.
Well,
But
yes.
My question is, how does one go about
Remaining in the present?
No,
What?
not so much that as much as subconscious thought. Because
Subconscious?
I believe consciously I know what I want.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can do that. But
Really?
I
All right.
feeling I have, like, I don't want to say past experiences so much, but just subconscious thoughts that are embedded in me that I would like to be able to release.
All right, well, go right ahead and release them. Oh, you're having difficulty releasing them.
Yes. The
Oh,
word subconscious.
all right, well, here's a suggestion. Get rid of the word subconscious. Now, partly I am joking. However, there's also some truth to this idea. But let me approach it from this direction. Don't be so eager, in a sense, would be our suggestion, to get rid of these things. Rather, make the exploration of these belief systems in your subconscious a thing in and of itself. They are not standing in the way of you getting somewhere. The idea is that the examination and exploration and integration of them is the whole point to your purpose in life. We know that many of you have goals, careers, things you wish to achieve. That is all well and good. But many of you look at the ideas within your belief systems only for the purpose of getting them out of the way, as if they were obstacles, as if they didn't belong there. If they are there, they are there, in a sense, for a reason. The point is, the more you spend your focus on the very idea of discovering more about who you are by examining those beliefs and those definitions, the more effortlessly you can transform your reality. But paradoxically, by desiring to transform those things only to get somewhere else, actually slows the process down. Does this make sense so far?
Yes.
In other words, as you put it, living in the now, being present with whatever, whoever you are, whatever that may mean, with whatever beliefs you have, conscious, subconscious, doesn't matter. Whatever those beliefs are, getting in touch with them and working on whether or not they serve you and changing them or not is in and of itself the point. Anything else, in a sense, is a side effect of that particular process, of that particular action. The things that you call goals are not really the goals. They are the side effects of the goal of discovering more of who you are and expanding the idea and the belief and the definition of who you are, so that the expanded definition of who you are can simply automatically and effortlessly contain all those things you think are the goals you're supposed to get to. You're only really supposed to be here and now, because that's the only place you actually are. You aren't anywhere else. You will never be anywhere else. You will never get anywhere but here and now. As you know, whenever you look around, it's always going to be here. It's always going to be now, wherever that may be. So, stay here, stay now, and see what you are here and now. Accept what you are here and now. Own it. Then examine it. Find out what it is you are all about here and now, without being anxious to get somewhere else or be someone else. Only by loving who you are here and now can you then love yourself enough to allow yourself to contain being someone else. Is this making sense so far?
Very much.
Yes.
Now, is there some specific avenue down which you would like to take this? Some specific application in your particular life that we can put this towards to illustrate the point more clearly? Or do you feel that this was sufficient to answer your question?
Meaning something I'm personally been working on for a while?
Well, yes.
Okay, yes, for me it would probably be smoking cigarettes.
Smoking
In every
cigarettes.
aspect, I am very healthy, and
Yes.
yet I'm unable to kick the habit.
Kick the habit. All right. Very good. Now, this is where the power of redefinition begins to come in, and you will see very clearly how this works. First, will you please define habit for me?
Habit
Yes.
is, in this particular case,
Habit.
is something I do often,
Yes?
consistently,
Yes?
and in this case, not wanting to.
Oh, all right. So, but you know you're doing it, yes?
Yes.
All right. Now, would you like to hear our definition of a habit and see how they compare?
Sure.
Thank you. Here's our definition of habit. Something you do that you don't know you're doing. Once you know you're doing it, it's not a habit, it's a choice. Ooh. Well, Bashar, what do you mean? I'm not choosing to continue to smoke. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And you're making that choice based on what you believe to be true. Somewhere, you have a belief that says that that's your best choice. Out of all the things you're looking at, that's the one, and here's the key, very critical, very important, that's the belief you are attaching the highest level of benefit to.
Can you repeat that, please?
Why, certainly. That's the belief you're attaching the highest level of benefit to. Let me tell you a very, very powerful and important secret about yourselves. None of you, not one of you, will do a thing 1 second longer than you believe it benefits you to do it. Not one of you will do anything 1 second longer than you believe it benefits you to do it. So the issue here is the belief that you have, that you keep choosing, that allows you to keep smoking when you say you don't want to, is a belief that has attached to it, by you, the highest level of benefit as a definition. Let me give you an example to clearly illustrate what we are saying. You have at any given moment a number of choices, a number of avenues to choose from. You could choose to not smoke. Yes?
Yes.
All right. What we are saying is that whatever your definitions are, whatever your beliefs are about smoking and not smoking, and now for the moment, just for illustrative purposes, I am oversimplifying this a little bit. But you have a choice to smoke and not smoke. What you are doing with your belief is saying that there is more benefit for some reason to continue to choose to smoke than there is to not smoke. Very strange. You have to find out what belief you actually would have to have that would say you get a greater benefit out of continuing to choose to smoke than you would get out of choosing not to smoke. Something about your definitions of stopping smoking is actually, for some reason to you, reading as less beneficial than continuing to choose to smoke. So you have to find out what that belief might be. So let me ask you a question and see if we cannot shed some light on this idea. All right? Thank you. The question would be, if you were to stop smoking, just stop, what would be the worst thing that would happen? What do you fear might happen if you suddenly stop?
I would experience a great amount of physical and mental pain.
Why?
And emotional pain.
Why?
Because I feel like my body would experience withdrawals.
Why?
Because when I've cut down, and I've gone, let's say, a few hours between cigarettes as opposed to an hour.
Yes.
I tend to, or I seem to get more upset with people. And
You choose to. You choose to.
I allow myself to.
You choose to. Say it. Say it. I choose to get more upset with people.
Get more upset with people.
All right. And getting upset with people is your choice because you are afraid of what?
Honestly?
Yes, please, by all means, honestly.
I don't see it as a fear of something so much as...
I know you don't, but I do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So can you ask the question again so I can try to see it that way?
I will absolutely do so. Let me put it in other terms. If you choose to smoke because you think that choosing to smoke somehow calms you down and will prevent you from getting upset with people about something, what is that thing that would allow you to get upset? Let's put it simply. What makes you upset when you get upset? What are the things that upset you about people? Or interactions that you have, or situations, or circumstances? What are you upset about in life?
I tend to get upset at...
You choose?
Thank you. I choose to get upset at what I perceive as other people's ignorance.
Ignorance. All right.
I choose to get upset.
Now, may I respectfully remind you that getting upset at other people is kind of an ignorant thing to do.
I said the words I actually know.
Yes, I know. It becomes self-evident. And why did it become self-evident? Because you said, I choose instead of I tend to. You took responsibility and took control. And as soon as you do that, your actions become very transparent.
That's true.
And you can't run away from the truth. And you see what you're doing. And that's all it takes. Taking responsibility. Responsibility. The ability to respond. That's all it is. That's all it is. You see how simple this becomes?
Yes.
As soon as you take responsibility and acknowledge that what you're doing is a choice and not a habit. I can't help it. It's a habit. I can't help it. I can't help it. It's a habit. Oh, well. I'm sorry I snapped at you, but, well, I can't help it. It's a habit. Yes, responsibility into trash can. No more responsibility. I have habits instead of responsibility. So nothing I do is my fault. Nothing I do is anything I have to be responsible for. Now look at that definition also, because many people on your planet equate responsibility with blame, and that's where the word fault comes from. Instead of saying responsibility is my ability to respond, it means I'm in control by taking responsibility. They have given responsibility a negative definition, called it blame, and say it's my fault. And since I don't want to be blamed and I don't want it to be my fault, I cannot take responsibility, so I will replace responsibility with, habit. It's just a habit. Well, okay. But again, the true definition of a habit is something you do that you don't know you're doing. As soon as you know you're doing it, it's not a habit. The habit's gone. If you do it again, it's a choice. So, take responsibility, recognize it's a choice, and recognize that the only reason you would be defining those things as that which upsets you is because you have an innate fear that what you see out there is somehow a reflection of you. And that's what you don't want to look at. I'm not saying it's empirically true about you, but I'm saying you have a definition that gives you the fear that it might be. And so you don't want to look at it. You will, in that sense, lash out at what you see. That is a reflection of what you fear you might contain. And you will project it onto others because you don't want to see that it might be within yourself. Simple psychology. Make sense?
Yes.
That's all it is. No blame. No fault. That's all it is. Definitions. If those definitions don't serve you, if they don't work for you, find out why you have those definitions. Find out why you believe what you believe. Now, it is all well and good that you might be able to recognize, let's say objectively, that someone might be acting out of ignorance. But so what? So what? You could help them, you could assist them, or not. But the point is you don't have to get upset, because if it has nothing to do with you, why would you get upset? Yes. The only reason you would create the sensation and the state of getting upset is if you carry a belief that what you see is what you are. You understand?
Yes.
So if you don't identify with it, in the same way that if I walked up to you on the street and said, I really hate those orange and pink and purple polka dot socks you're wearing, and you're not wearing socks that look like that, you would go, what's your problem? That has nothing to do with me. Likewise, if you see behavior that you know has nothing to do with who you are, why would you get upset? In fact, what you would actually do if you really don't identify with it is you would have compassion. You would recognize that they are caught up in a fear scenario, and you'd be willing to help them, but only to the point where you discover whether or not they are willing to accept your help or not. If they are not, bless them, love them, be on your way. But there's no reason to be upset if it has nothing to do with you. So being upset means you believe it has something to do with a truth about yourself that you're not willing to face. Once you understand that it doesn't necessarily mean it is true, but that you believe it's true, you will also start disempowering that belief. Because there is nothing about any of you. There is nothing about any of you. I'll say it one more time. There is nothing about any of you that is true except that you are made from unconditional love and that you exist. That's it. That's what you're made of. You are energy, light, love, call it what you will, but you are made of the infinite. You are made of all that is. That is the only thing about you that is true. Everything else is a definition or a conditional belief placed upon you, usually by yourselves. Because you accept the definitions of others, maybe that have nothing to do with you really, but you've accepted it as true for yourself. But that doesn't mean it's empirically true. It just means you have bought into it. And because you believe it, well, then like any belief, it's going to come with its own self-reinforcing mechanism, because the only way you can experience a belief as being true is if the definition of the belief comes with an underlying code that says, this belief is truer than all other beliefs. That's the only way you can experience a reality physically as being truer than anything else. But once you understand that every belief comes with that instruction to believe that this is true and not that, then you will understand that all beliefs are equally true. It just depends on what you prefer to believe. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Does that help you?
It does help. Thank you very
Now,
much.
one moment. I would like to say one more thing. I am not saying that you have to incorporate this into your belief system structure right now. It's up to you. Whatever rate at which you change your beliefs is the perfect rate at which you need to change your beliefs if they need changing according to your estimate that they do. So, what I'm about to say to you, if you give it a shot and find that you can't do it right away, don't keep more negative beliefs on yourself by saying, oh, I did something wrong, what's wrong with me? You follow me?
Yes.
But what I'm about to tell you is very powerful. Think about it, let it sink in, absorb it at your own rate.
As you say it, may I ask you to say it somewhat slowly so I can write it down?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Somewhat quicker would be okay.
Well, thank you.
2.5 hours, I don't take up.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
You are not taking up anyone's time.
Okay.
Now, personality. The personality is basically, in a sense, for lack of a better term, an artificial construct. It is composed of the beliefs and the emotions and the thought pattern actions of the physical body in that sense. And when you change any belief, change any emotion, change any thought, change any action, you change the personality. Now, pay attention to this. I mean this in a very literal way. I don't mean you are the same person acting differently. When you change any aspect of a personality, you are actually a different person. Take me literally. You may think you look the same in the mirror, but that's just an illusion of continuity that you perpetuate in physical reality. You are not the same person from moment to moment to moment. Literally. An example. If you have a cube, how many sides does a cube have? 6. Let's say they're all blue. You have a blue cube, 6 blue sides, yes? Got it in your mind? See the picture?
Yes.
Now, in your imagination, change just one side on the cube to red. Here are your two choices. A, it's the same cube, but we have changed one side to be red. B, a blue cube with 6 blue sides and a cube with 5 blue sides and 1 red one is fundamentally a completely different cube. Totally different concept, totally different cube. Are you getting the point?
Yes.
So, whatever you define yourself to be in any given moment, whatever the sum of your definitions and belief systems are at any given moment, is the person you are. In the next moment, any little change is a completely different person, regardless of the illusion of continuity you create from one moment to the next to make it seem like one moment to the next. So, here is one way to look at the idea of your smoking. If you truly understood, truly understood the idea that you are a different person from one moment to the next, then you will understand this. The person who smokes and the person who doesn't smoke are two completely different people. So, if you redefine yourself in your belief systems clearly enough that you are a person who doesn't smoke, then understand something. It's not a habit you have to give up. It's something you never did. You have no history of smoking because you're not that person. Does that make some sense to you? Do you see how dynamic a change that could cause in you if you really understood that you're not the same person that was there a moment ago with the cigarette?
Yes.
This is what we will euphemistically refer to as the 13th step. Your 12-step programs haven't quite gotten there yet. The 13th step is to fully understand that if you really are a new person, you really are a new person, and you never had any of the addictions the other person has. And because you really know this, there would never be even a question that you would smoke, because you just don't. You're not a person who does. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, whether you are capable of allowing yourself to use your belief systems in this way is up to you. You are capable of doing it. When you do it, how you decide to do it, whatever process you take, how long it takes, is up to you, and it's all fine. You understand?
Yes.
So, first step in the process, whatever you do, however you do it, whatever way you do it, don't be hard on yourself for doing it that way. Otherwise, you just pile more reason to become the person you say you don't want to remain.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, there were two. Yes. Yes.
Yes, does that's
And second? All right.
does that same concept apply to ailments and diseases?
It does. It can, yes.
What about mental illness?
What about it?
Is it ring true for that as well?
If the person has brought themselves to a point where they are incapable of understanding what they are doing, they may have created a loop for themselves that they will not necessarily get out of in that lifetime, but do understand you are all eternal, and certainly after the physical life, they will be able to get out of it.
What about with synthetic medication?
There can be certain things that are done that will aid and assist that person in their ability to reconnect to their center sufficiently to gain what you might call enough of a foothold to realize what they are doing and what they need to do to change it. We would usually suggest that if such assistance is given in the way that you have described it, that it would be natural rather than synthetic. For the synthetics actually can cause even more difficulty in other directions. There is always a natural way to do most of those kinds of things unless the personality itself has chosen to create for itself a scenario that it determines it will not get out of for its own purposes.
Does that process differ from what smoking is sort of an exterior thing? But what is the
If you say it is.
Okay. But if it's an ailment,
Yes.
a disease,
Yes.
how does the process differ or does it not differ?
Essentially, it does not differ. But again, primarily, it's all about getting in touch with the beliefs. And there are a number of techniques and ways to do that. Again, your imagination can be your guide. But it has to do with what we said before about taking responsibility first and foremost, that you yourself have definitions and beliefs that may be bringing about the dis-ease, and to get in touch with what those are so that you can see what it is that is creating the dynamic within your physical form. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And?
Bashar.
Yes, good day.
Good day. You were talking earlier about seeing things happening out there that people are doing and whether or not those things upset you.
Yes.
We've come to kind of a consensus among our group's discussion that the world is not, there is no objective reality. It's a reflection of
Yes.
consciousness.
Yes. Although, of course, there is some degree of the idea of objectivity in the sense that you are creating a mass consensus.
Mass consciousness or mass consciousness.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
However, you are still all creating it, but you're letting a part of it ride on automatic, and you call that part objective.
I understand.
Thank you. Nevertheless, go on.
The question of things in the outer world upsetting you,
Yes.
and seeing the outer as a reflection of something that's in your consciousness that
Yes.
needs to be addressed.
Yes.
And you touched on that somewhat with Drew here.
Yes.
His question about smoking. But
Yes.
I wondered, do we need to modify our view of how that works, or is there more that you want to say about that?
Well, it depends upon what it is you are relating to.
I'm not clear on if I'm going about my normal day and something that someone does is upsetting to me. What is the dynamic there? Is that a reflection? Is that a reflection?
It doesn't always have to be a one-to-one reflection, no.
Okay.
However, they are always there for a reason.
Okay.
There's a difference in that sense. It doesn't mean that what they're doing is exactly reflective of what you're doing.
Yes.
But if they do reflect that to you, it's still there for a reason, be it only that there's an opportunity for you to absorb some knowledge or simply lend a hand or some other idea or avenue.
Okay, so it isn't necessarily a one-to-one
No.
correspondence between...
No, although you did attract it.
Yes, okay.
And the reason may be nothing other than providing an environment in which it is safe for that person to go through what they're going through.
Okay.
You could be simply there as a support system. But there are no accidents in that sense.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bashar.
Oh, you and then you.
I have a question in that regards. Are you able to actually sense our energy as far as multiple expressions of ourselves?
Are you talking about incarnations and parallel realities?
Yes.
Yes.
Because what I've become aware of another expression of myself.
Which is?
Actually, a healer in another dimension.
Such as?
That I don't know. I just know what I could tell you is that I'm being communicated with numbers.
Oh, all right.
Like a tapping on the wall.
Oh, all right.
Tapping out of numbers.
Yes.
And I'm able to interpret a lot of those numbers. And I'm just wondering if...
And how is it that you are utilizing this connection in this particular reality focus?
Actually, it's a support structure for me because a lot of the messages that I'm getting, they're basically telling me that I am being supported in the direction I'm going as far as doing reconnective healing, working with fifth dimensional frequencies that have been brought onto this earth at this time.
Then the awareness level you have of the connection is the awareness level that serves you at the moment.
Okay, I was just wondering what, if there was...
Yes, I know what you were wondering.
Yes.
However, let me put it this way. It is not that some of this information cannot be given to you, but many times it is not always a great idea that it is given to you because many times the details just get in your way of actually using the connection. Make sense? Because then you get all caught up in the symbols. Oh, it's so-and-so from so-and-so. Instead of, here's the energy, use it the way you will. Here's the energy, use it the way you will. Here's a thought, here's an idea, translate it into your reality in the way you need to. Don't pay attention to the messenger, pay attention to the message. Your world, after all, does have a history of focusing on the messenger instead of the message. So many of the guides and spirits and who and what have you that are assisting you in that way choose to stay in the background for that reason, because it's the energy and the information they want you to pay attention to for right now. And if anything else needs to be known about them, you will usually figure that out or find out one way or another. Now, sometimes asking us is a way of finding more out, but we always have to determine whether or not it's appropriate, and for that we always ask that entity and your higher self exactly what is going on so that we do not, well, as you say in your language, spill the beans. You understand?
Yes, so what's the message? It's not appropriate or is appropriate?
It is not appropriate on all levels. We can give you a little bit, a taste, a hint, a tantalizing clue, always designed for the purpose of getting you to move more in the direction of your true self, as well as being somewhat revealing of the mechanism and the connection and relationship at hand. I will put it this way and see if you can divine the puzzle. What you are in and the energy you are receiving is an interesting form of relationship. Did anything come up in your imagination when that was said?
Relationship in this dimension?
All right. Pay attention one more time. Not just with your mind. Open your imagination. Relax your expectations. Let go of your symbols. Pay attention to what is being said in the way it is being said. What you are doing is creating an interesting relationship. Anything come into your mind? Any pictures? Any feelings?
Yes.
What?
Well, the relationship with the individual that I'm with now. And that's one. And then the other relationship is I feel another part of myself is trying to merge with me to become
all right.
To become more.
Yes. So in this sense, what you are dealing with is your higher self. You understand?
Yes.
Now, there is more to it than that, but that's what you need to know right now. There is also another clue in what we said, but you're not picking up on it yet. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, not understanding what you're getting at.
I know. But I'm giving you more than enough time.
Sorry, I'm not getting it.
That's all right. There's no need to apologize.
Bashar?
One moment. We're not quite done. How do you feel about water, by the way?
Love water.
Why?
Because we need water because we're 70% water to begin with.
That's why you love it? Because of the chemistry?
There's a lot of healing properties in water as well.
Really?
Yes, there is.
Oh, what a surprise. Do you work with water when you heal?
Yes.
How?
Because water has consciousness to it.
It does. Are there any beings you know of that are associated with water that you would like to work with?
Yes.
And they would be?
Just a lot of people in general.
A lot of people in general. Do you hear what he called you? A lot of people in general. Would you like to be more specific?
Just people that need healing.
But we are not talking about them. We are talking about the healer. We're talking about healing energy as provided by those associated with water. Bring anything to mind?
The dolphins.
Thank you.
Yes. I don't know why I didn't get it, but I am aware that I have a spiritual connection to the dolphins.
Thank you. And that also means, in a sense, you also have a spiritual connection to a vibration that is associated with the star system of Sirius. You know that?
I did not know.
Now you do. And that's partly what you're working with.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But you see, we had to get there in a sort of roundabout way.
When we're done here as a whole, is there any way, is it possible that maybe, I understand that you're what we would refer to as a spaceship captain. Is there any way we can get you to buzz over the house a little bit and kind of shake the neighbors up a little bit?
My ship right now is and has been for quite some time positioned over your city of Cairo and will remain there for a little while longer.
Okay.
All right?
Can we ask why?
Yes.
Why?
It is one of the nodal points of energy on your planet that we are helping to balance with regard to the changes taking place on your world. And as the changes take place that are more in alignment with the idea of contact, our ship will slowly over the years get lower and lower and lower until the atmosphere is correct and appropriate for contact.
Would this be the contact in February you told us about regarding about 2015 or 2037?
It will be slightly later than 2015 because we will not be the first that you will contact.
May I ask where first contact may occur and how?
You may ask.
Will you tell us?
No. And I will not tell you because I am keeping something from you. I will not tell you because it hasn't been decided. There are still many fluctuations taking place upon your planet that will determine where the most appropriate place will be and when the most appropriate moment will be. But there are an increasing series of probabilities that we will discuss at another time. Yes? Female, then male.
Bashar, Maryland.
Oh, all right, if you insist. Hello, Marilyn.
I was wondering, I've been reading about the Arcturians.
Yes.
And I wanted to know, they say that they're trying to help us, but I wanted to know.
No. They are helping. Whether or not you're paying attention is another issue, but they are helping.
Is there anything we can do as a group that we get gathered on Tuesday nights to enhance, maybe peace on Earth or...
Well, what does your imagination tell you would be appropriate? Remember, we said your imagination is keyed to what would work best for your vibration. And all of like mind will then amplify exponentially that particular imagination, and that's what will work. And will add to the overall energy and make it more probable for interaction with other dimensions of experience.
Well, is what they're saying then things like, I'm not sure, they talk about sitting to the north
Yes.
to be in better connection with their energies.
Well, in a
And
sense,
also
yes.
Liquid, I don't know, can you explain what liquid light is? If you
Liquid light is what we refer to as electromagnetic energy. It is a higher vibratory plane of energy, of light beyond your third dimensional vibration of light. It is that which permeates all that is and which manifests itself in your understanding as spirit. We don't know if that makes sense in your language scientifically, but nevertheless, that's what it is. It is the manifestation of spirit as it intersects from higher dimensions to lower ones. It manifests as a form you recognize as liquid light, and the liquid light forms the basis, the foundational, shall we say, substance for the physicalization or crystallization of all lower vibratory dimensional realities. Does that make sense?
No, I kind of got lost. Are you saying it's like it's the connection from us to them? I just kind of lost you.
All right, liquid light, in a sense, would be the first level of what you would recognize as materialization out of the one, as it crystallizes itself and becomes more and more physically manifest. Use the analogy, perhaps, of steam, if you wish, a crude analogy. Steam, as the all that is, and as it cools and condenses, it becomes more liquid. And that is the idea of certain states of energy and matter, one of which is liquid light. And as it becomes even more crystallized, it becomes ice, more solid, more dense, lower vibration in that sense. And that would be what you recognize as electromagnetic energy that you call light and physical matter and all the things in the lower density vibrational dimensions. Did that make more sense?
Yes.
So liquid light, the reference being made to liquid light, is a reference to a state of being, a state of energy that represents a higher vibratory plane of existence toward which those of a certain frequency are being magnetized. Amping up your frequency, becoming less ice, more fluid. In your ability to recognize your relationship with reality. I'm going to put it another way. In some senses, spiritual evolution, spiritual upliftment, acceleration, transformation occurs when you recognize, are you paying attention?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you recognize that you are the reality you previously thought you existed in. Did you get that?
Previously, or?
The idea of transitioning from one level to a higher level is the end result of the recognition that you actually are the reality you previously thought you existed within. So in other words, when all of you realize you actually are physical reality and don't live in physical reality, you will upgrade and amplify your energy, your frequency, and you will become more the idea of liquid light rather than the more crystallized form that you perceive as electromagnetic energy in physical reality. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yes, we think so. The male.
Thank you for interacting with us.
Thank you for interacting with us.
I had a question. I wanted to work more on getting in touch with my higher power, like you were talking.
Go right ahead.
And I feel that healing, that I want to be doing something along the healing lines. And
Along the healing lines.
Yes, helping people in the healing process.
All right, and in what form or manifestation is the one that for this moment seems to be the most exciting expression you can muster? That's the one to do. The most exciting form you can imagine is the one to do. Even if your imagination alters something you have learned in a way that makes it more exciting than it was, that's the way to do it. Because excitement is the thread that leads you to yourself, not how something looks on the surface. Make sense?
Thank you, yes.
Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bashar.
You. Good day.
Good day. Thank you for being here with us.
Well, I'm not really there, but I understand.
I was wondering, reoccurring dream.
Yes.
About someone you care about involving on the water, on a ship.
Yes.
And then sometimes on a boat.
Well,
Smaller
it can have
ship,
many symbolic reasons. It will depend upon the specifics of your own energy and your relationship. On the water, in a boat, usually means you're dealing with some emotional situation. You're attempting to navigate through some emotional ocean, in a sense. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Anything more specific?
On the dream?
Guys?
It going from, say, a smaller ship to a larger ship.
All right. How does that feel to do that in the dream?
Good.
Good. That's all? Just good?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, second question. You said your ship is currently over Cairo?
Yes, about 2,000 of your miles up.
Was it over Cairo during the construction of the pyramids?
No. But of course, there really is no time, so yes. However, the whole point of saying that it is over Cairo now is for a completely different idea, and so in that sense, mostly as you mean the question, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Then you.
Okay, the question of time comes up.
Yes.
If all time is now, past, present, and future all coexist at this moment.
Yes.
There's only this moment.
Yes.
In conversation with God, we talk about the idea that we are creating, we're not living into the future, we're creating the future as we go.
Yes.
In a more fundamental way than we ever have as a species.
You are creating your experience as you go.
Okay. It's not the actual reality, but only our experience of reality.
Well, it all exists.
Okay.
And at the same time, you are creating your experience of it. Please understand that when you talk about things on this level, it's never this or that. It's this and that.
Okay.
Because it's all things. So you cannot speak exclusively. You have to speak inclusively. Make sense?
Yes.
Did that answer the question?
I believe it did. Yes.
Well, thank you. And female.
I'm having a problem.
You can be next if you wish.
Okay. I'm having a problem of estrangement with my son.
Estrangement.
Yes.
All right.
Which I don't know how to handle.
What is the estrangement about?
Oh, it's about his son, my grandson.
Yes.
He's been a problem.
A challenge.
A problem. He's 20. He's going to be 21 now.
Yes, a challenge.
Yeah, a challenge.
All right.
And
what is the challenge?
the challenge is that my son wants me to side with him in his animosity towards his son.
And you don't feel like being that way?
No, I don't feel like being that way.
Then where's the problem?
The problem is we had a big row Christmas Eve.
A big what?
A big fight.
Fight.
A big difference of opinion. The family usually comes to my house.
Yes.
But my son and my grandson hadn't solved their differences.
Oh, all right.
So.
And so you don't want that vibration in your reality, do you?
No, I don't.
All right, then. Where's the problem?
Okay. So my grandson called Christmas Eve. He wasn't there.
Yes.
My son and his wife were.
Yes.
And so he asked me on the phone, told me on the phone he'd be a little late. So that was fine.
Yes.
So my son says, who was that? And I said, it's Adam. And he's coming over.
Yes.
Well, he just blew his top.
Oh, I see. Did that hurt?
Yes, he verbally assaulted me, and
Oh.
it really hurts.
Oh, I see. I meant did it hurt him to blow his top?
He didn't seem to.
No, well, believe me, it did.
Yeah, well, if he's still hurting, he still hasn't come around. So.
Oh, all right.
Now, I'll have a birthday Wednesday.
Yes?
I'll be 86 years old.
Oh, all right. You are a young pup. I am 145.
How about that?
Right now, anyway.
Easter has come and gone. I have not heard from him. I'll have a birthday.
We were under the impression that your Easter mark had not yet come and gone in this time period.
Well, that's right, yeah. But anyway, I haven't heard from him yet.
Yes.
I just don't want this happening in our lives.
All right. Then don't.
Well, what do I do about it? He does not contact me.
Yes.
He's made it clear that he doesn't want very much to do with me.
Well, then it's not in your life, is it? Where's the problem?
I'm unhappy.
About what?
About not having a good relationship with my son.
All right, you can recognize that it is not your preference, but why are you unhappy?
I don't know.
Then don't be unhappy. You can recognize that it is something that needs working on,
yes,
if it is something that you actually prefer to work on. In the meantime, it doesn't in any way, shape, or form have the power to make you happy or unhappy. No. You choose to decide that.
I prefer to work on it.
Well, work on it, but as you work on it, be happy.
Well, I am more or less happy.
Problem solved.
There you go. The point simply is you can do anything you want and work on anything you want, and the thing you're working on, in and of itself, is not what has the power to decide while you're working on it whether you are happy or unhappy. Only you do. So choose to be happy, even though you may recognize there is something that you might want to work on. And if you choose to work on it, recognize that you're taking responsibility for choosing to work on it, and therefore you should still be happy.
Well, it takes two to work on it.
If he doesn't want to, then that's all there is to it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you still can't be happy.
Well, I am happy.
All right then. Thank
Why
you.
did I bring it up?
One moment. Female.
Yes, your name, I understand, means messenger.
Well, it's not my name, but the word, yes,
The word
means messenger.
Is there any connection between that name or whatever entity Bashar means and San Gabriel, because he is also considered a messenger?
Well, many beings are considered messengers in that sense. We are all messengers. We simply chose one that had a very literal meaning to the word in one of your earth languages. That's all.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you tell us what the true reason why the United States went into Iraq?
You don't know?
No.
Really?
Not what they're telling us.
Well, you know the true reason, don't you?
No.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, it has to do with a little-known substance on your planet called oil.
So it is that.
Yes. And many other things that have to do with setting up circumstances and situations for certain other scenarios farther down the line politically.
Right.
Look at it as a chess game. Mm-hmm. The idea is that when people on your planet play the game of chess, they think many, 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 many moves ahead. Mm-hmm. And that, in some senses, is what's being done here. The idea is that there is a disenfranchising that has been taking place with certain cultures on your planet for quite some time by others. In this sense, a devaluation. There are certain resources that are available in certain areas that some people on your planet would like to get a hold of. And so they will cause devaluation to occur in the area so that it is easier for them to come into the area and take hold of those resources, but also set up the area later to allow it to be a stepping stone to other areas that are even in their eyes more valuable. So in a sense, it is like a sleight of hand idea saying, well, yes, this is a serious problem here, and you don't realize that what they're actually doing is setting up a stage over here for a play that's going to take place over here because that's the stage entrance. That is all we can really tell you at this point, because we would like to drive home the point that you are your governments. And if you do not prefer what is going on your planet, do something about it. Because it's your planet, not ours.
Sure.
Does that help you?
And how could we do that?
Well, you tell me. It's your planet. How can you do that? There are many things you can do. What does your heart and your imagination tell you can be done in the most positive and constructive way possible? Do those things. Take action. Become involved in all the peaceful, constructive, loving things you can think of to find not the differences but the commonalities that will allow you to respect the differences. Of course, there are going to be people on your planet in a variety of cultures that will be fearful and angry and want to lash out and cause pain no matter what. And of course, when people in other cultures do that, then the people in your culture can point at them as a justification for doing what they do. And so, of course, in that sense, as you say, it takes two to tango. Yeah. Nevertheless, if you reinforce the positive elements in all the cultures and allow yourselves to develop parallel systems, not take down the systems that are there, develop parallel systems that are positive, then when the systems that are already in place, that are incapable of surviving under their own weight, collapse, new systems will already be there to take their place. So put those new systems into effect by creating them with your imagination and your behavior and your action and your willingness to be a shining example of what the world can be like. Take responsibility. Does that help?
Yes. They are...
They.
You
are your government.
No, I understand that, but I have a
All right.
question.
Yes.
There's a group called the Skull and Bones that derives from
Yes.
people that go to Yale.
We understand.
And Bush.
We understand.
And the whole.
We understand.
You understand? Okay. Now, this guy Kerry that's going to be running against Bush.
This guy Kerry.
Yes.
This guy. Yes.
Do you see Kerry winning?
You are your governments. Create what you prefer. Get involved.
Okay.
We are not on your planet. It is not decided. You decide.
Okay.
All probable futures coexist now. Which one do you prefer? Be that reality.
Okay.
That's what you will experience.
Thank you.
And whatever happens, remember this. It is not about what happens. It's about how you respond to it that determines whether you have actually changed your reality or not. Because everything can serve double duty. Everything in your reality is a neutral prop devoid of meaning. Nothing has built-in meaning. Nothing has built-in meaning. Everything is neutral. Neither positive nor negative. How you respond to what happens on the surface, the meaning you infuse into it determines the effect you get out of it, regardless of what it looks like. Because everything is neutral and can serve positive or negatively. Make sense?
Yes.
Bashar?
Yes.
Was I to interpret what you just said as, besides oil, could I say it was greed?
Yes, you can.
Is that right?
It is greed based on fear of lack. There is no such thing as lack, but when you don't know that, you're afraid of not having enough, and so you become rapacious.
So when you say lack, you mean lack of
anything,
possessions?
Everything.
Everything.
Yes. And disconnection from the infinite. The experience of believing you are disconnected from the infinite. You can never be disconnected, but the experience of believing you are disconnected from the infinite creates a sense of lack. And that creates the fear, and that creates the greed, and that creates the rapaciousness, and that creates destruction, and that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy that you don't have enough. Make sense?
Will this planet ever change?
One moment. Now, pay attention to exactly how I'm saying that, because I'm going to answer you very literally as you asked the question. Will this planet ever change? No. But what version of Earth would you like to have instead? Because that's another planet. In the same way that that's another personality from moment to moment. So when you said, well, this planet ever changed, well, that planet's gone already. It will never change. It is what it is. But you will vibrate according to what you believe is the reality you prefer, and that's the planet you will experience when you harmonize your reality reflection with the vibration you are giving off. Did that make sense to you, and do you understand how we meant the answer?
Yes.
And does that help illuminate the idea that it's not about having to change the planet, it's about changing yourself? So that when you shift your vibration, in a sense, and become another person that lives in that world that you prefer, then that's who you will be. And that's the world you will be in, because you will be that you, and you will no longer be the you used to be. Does that make sense in your language?
Yes. Bashar?
Thank goodness. Yes?
I have so many questions, but I'll stick with one.
All right. Stick away.
I've learned about the power of the words you speak and the thoughts you think, and one thing that was curious to me is I came to the idea, across the idea in conversations with God about people saying, I want to be happy, I want to be whatever.
Want.
That the universe is like a Xerox machine, and basically when you say, I want to be happy, the universe says, okay, I'm going to give you the experience of
wanting to be happy. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You get back what you put out. That is the third law of creation. There are only 4 laws of creation. Would you like to know what they are?
Yes.
Are you sure? Oh, all right. Number 1, you exist. Can't do much about that. You exist. That's a law. You exist. That means you can never not exist. Because, I'll tell you another secret, the other side of that law is there is no such thing as non-existence. Listen to the sentence. There is no such thing as non-existence. Non-existence doesn't exist. Do you get it? Yeah. Non-existence doesn't exist. Therefore, if you exist, then the only quality you have, the fundamental quality you have, is to exist. Number 2, the one is the all are the one. That's law number 2. The one is the all are the one. Every seemingly separate thing is made up out of the one. And the one knows itself as the one, and as all the things it makes up. That makes sense?
Yes.
Law number 3, what you put out is what you get back. Law number 4. Everything changes except the first 3 laws. Everything changes except the first 3 laws. The reason it is framed that way is so that you can understand that that means even the 4th law changes. And when change changes, what does change become? That which does not change, which is the first 3 laws. So the 4th law gives birth to the first 3, which give birth to the 4th. And it is, in that sense, a circle of perfection. And that is all there is. Every single experience you have in any dimension of experience, anywhere, any when, is based on those 4 laws, and that's it. Anything else that you call a law is simply a local condition that happens to be a combination in some way, shape, or form, an expression in some way, shape, or form of the 4 laws. Because when we say law, we mean capital L, it cannot change. As opposed to laws of physics, which are not always exactly the same, depending upon dimension, universe, what have you. Even your own scientists are now beginning to understand that there is malleability, even in your physiological universe, to the ideas and concepts of such things as speed of light and so forth. In a sense, it is a constant, but there are other ways to look at it that makes it not so. Whereas these 4 laws are this way, no matter where, when, or who, or what you happen to be within creation. These are the defining frameworks of existence itself. Does that help?
Yes. Sure.
Yes.
I had a question on super ionized water that
yes.
actually has an extra electron spinning in its orbit.
Spinning.
I'm just wondering, I hear that this actually has a lot of health benefits.
It can, yeah.
To drink that. I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you must understand that any high-spin state molecule will impart that high-spin energy to the molecules it comes in contact with. Thus, in a sense, it's like amping yourself up, your collective vibration up a notch. You understand?
Yes.
Many substances will do this.
Can you name others?
Oh, well, yes. Many of you have begun to recognize the existence of what are called monatomic elements. What you call white powder elements, white powder gold, white powder iridium, rhodium, the idea of the transition elements, and that's why they're called transition elements, even though your scientists may not have known that when they labeled them that. They transition you from one state to another because they transition themselves from one state to another. So when you deal with them in high spin state form, what your scientists call high spin state elements, then in that sense, when you put them in contact with your body in a variety of ways, they will impart the high spin state of energy to the molecular structure of your body and amplify your energy over time in specific ways depending upon the element. Does that help?
Yes, I was just wondering if that was safe to drink, because I've heard pros and cons to both.
In general, it is, but don't overdo it. You may find that you do not necessarily need that much. Understand something. The idea of amping up energy is an integrative process, and you don't need as much to do something in an integrated way as you need to do in a segregated way. So the idea is perhaps pure water, clean water, non-toxic water is always of benefit. Ionizing the water, you probably do not have to ingest more than the idea of 15 to 20% of your total intake to get the effect that you need. Beyond that, it may simply be bleeding off in a way that doesn't benefit you.
Would this help in a way of like meditation and things as far as trying to manifest or actually manifesting, calling the things forth into your life?
For some it can, if your belief system works that way along those lines, yes.
What about healing?
It can, to some degree, aid and assist in the acceleration of certain healings, yes. But again, please remember that all healings are done by the person being healed.
Which actually, I just have one more thing. Is when we actually refer to, when we're working with these dimensional frequencies for things,
yes.
My understanding that it's actually the people on the table that are actually choosing to vibrate at the frequency
yes.
that we're actually bringing
The
through.
healer provides the vibrational template and offers an invitation for the person to be healed to match that frequency, whereupon if they do, they heal themselves.
Now, what does it mean when you bring them, when you use the reference, we're bringing them to a 0-point reference?
You are bringing them back to their natural balanced state,
Okay.
which is, paradoxically, slightly positive. Let me put it this way. you have the idea of 50-50. Let's say 50% positive, 50% negative. But in between that, there is actually a 0 point. Being in a state of balance is a positive state to be in, because it still gives you a choice. And so it leans slightly in the positive direction. So bringing them back to a state of balance still gives them an opportunity to continue to move in a positive direction. But it gives them the freedom of choice to do so. And that is what is most positive about it. Freedom to choose. So a healer in that sense helps the person identify the 0 state from which they originally made the choices that manifested what they have manifested in their lives, and allows them to choose to be in the 0 state again, to choose again what they prefer, positive or negative. But it's slightly positive, slightly biased to the positive in terms of spin of energy, because it is a state in which you can make a free will choice. Make sense?
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
Do you have any suggestions for those of us who are reconnected healing practitioners as to what we might do to gain greater or better mastery of the reconnected healing work?
What does better mastery mean to you? How would that be expressed in terms of effect or action or appearance?
That we're able to fulfill the role of the facilitator of the channel between the fifth dimensional angels that are bringing this work and these frequencies on earth.
Do you love what you do?
Yes.
Are you doing it because you are willing to assist others?
Yes.
Are you willing to allow them to choose whatever outcome they prefer to choose, regardless of what it is?
Yes, except I think maybe...
Yes, except?
I think ego gets in the way.
Well, then...
And desire. You want everyone to be healed. You want them to grow. You want them to reconnect with the grid lines.
You have compassion for them that they are capable of recognizing that everyone has that ability, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Well, but if you do not let it be all right for them to choose, where is the compassion gone?
It's gone to ego self.
Yes. And how does it serve you to come from the ego place if you say you are doing what you love and you're doing this to help?
It does not. It does.
Then mastery is recognizing that.
Yes.
It is that simple if you're willing to let it be that simple. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, because you see, everything we have said to you this day, we don't care if you pay attention. We do what we do because we love to do what we do. We are happy to share. You can listen, you don't have to listen. You can say, Bashar, you are full of crap. Okay, but I still had fun. So thank you for allowing me to have fun, regardless of whether you chose to or not. Doesn't affect the fact that I am having fun being who I am. Whether you pay attention to what I'm saying or not has nothing to do with whether I am having fun. You see?
Yes.
Bashar?
Bashar, one more thing. You and I once spoke about you're a pilot. I'm a pilot on this plane in this earth.
Yes.
There are many efforts underway now to commercialize space and make it a probable, practical reality for pilots to travel into space with a craft that lands and takes off on a traditional runway, as we call it here.
Yes.
As you perceive my energies to be right now, what would you be able to share with me in terms of my capacity to engage and be a space pilot?
What is your capacity to engage in that practice?
Can it happen? Can I be a space pilot?
So what you are asking me is, or what you are telling me is, you want to grow up to be a space pilot.
When you're 147, you can be a pilot.
Yes.
Will you then take the actions that are necessary for you to begin behaving as if you are already a space pilot? What does that mean, Bashar?
Well, I guess I'm really asking for, is that something where I should place my efforts or energy?
Should?
Yes, should.
Should? There are no shoulds.
There are only choices.
Is it exciting enough for you to go and do what needs to be done for you to be a space pilot? Hesitation usually means you're not sure.
Sure, it depends on what needs to be done and what the trade-offs might be.
Oh, trade-offs. You know what? Let me let you in on a little secret. I'm going to use very prosaic terminology here just to allow the point to be clear. People who know they are successful don't think about trade-offs. Passion has no room for trade-offs. What you are passionate about at any given moment is all there is in the universe. And you have to do it because you have no choice, because it's who you are. You start thinking about what the trade-offs are, it's not who you are. Not at that moment. So when you think about the trade-offs, you are not a space pilot. When there is no such concept as trade-off in your vocabulary, in your passion, you are a space pilot. Up to you to decide who you will be. All right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can we go for a ride on your craft?
Perhaps someday.
On Sunday?
Someday. Someday.
Although, do understand, in some form, many of you already have.
You just don't remember.
Some of you even remember. You just thought it was a dream. And you interpreted it in a way that didn't necessarily make it seem literal.
Who is it? Are you hearing me?
Linda.
Bashar.
Yes.
I've seen them. I was down in Central America and saw the electromagnetic grid, and then saw, I don't know, about 50 extraterrestrial starcraft sitting in what I would determine as spatial port,
All right.
hovering in that dimension.
Yes.
And I was told that I'm an air traffic controller for extraterrestrials, so that sort of like made my reality valid.
Understand that each and every one of you have many different jobs on many different dimensional levels simultaneously. Whoa, 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 whoa. Here come all the dimensions all at once. Many of you are doing many different things simultaneously that connect back to the idea of this life, and the things you are doing in this life also sometimes translate over into some of the things you are doing in parallel realities, alternate dimensions, what have you. It's all a cross-bleed grid of cross-connections you are creating your energy to be for the purpose of the greater experience of the whole of you as well as all the parts of you.
Are we talking about people in here, in this very room?
That very room that you are in, yes.
Do you mean names? Or is it just
All of you.
Oh, how can we connect with those other aspects of ourselves?
You always are connected with all those aspects of yourself. Many of the things that might occur to you in the course of any given day that might seem like inspirations or ideas that suddenly pop into your head out of the blue might actually be coming from some of these other experiences you are having in other dimensional lives. It's just that you don't necessarily need to know that that's where they're coming from, because that would get in the way of how you need to use it in this life. But there's always cross-communication and bleed-through. You never know where that idea actually came from. You never know where the inspiration or the impetus or the urge to do this or walk down that street might have come from. You never know where that feeling might have popped up from. You never know what experience the greater self might be having that says, I will feed the information where it needs to go that will do the most good for all concerned. It will simply find the slot it needs to find. You will not always recognize that that's what's happening, but you don't need to.
My understanding from what you've been saying all along is that everything is, correct me if I'm wrong, free will?
It is, although you also do set up certain limited scenarios that might be like unto themes or hallways you will explore that in a sense could be called destiny or fate, but they are not anywhere near as limiting as you may think. They are simply the idea that you have determined that by setting up a certain scenario, you will explore this particular theme within a certain amount of, shall we say, space-time. But that's all there is, really, to the idea of destiny, except for the fact, of course, of the awakening and recognition of the fact that you are also all that is.
Is that, when you're on the, before you come into this plane...
All right, you want to speak linearly, go ahead.
Okay, well, however...
Yes?
I'm not...
Well, before and after are arbitrary, but go ahead.
Is that when you decide these limitations or these challenges?
Some of them,
or
yes.
Always or whatever?
Yes. Sometimes they can be very specific. Most times they are very general in terms of a theme you will explore. For example, do you not recognize, because of the trends in your overall society, that many of you have decided to explore the theme of spiritual awakening in this particular incarnation? Yes. Well, there you are, but each of you will explore it in your own unique way. You will give yourself different kinds of ways of challenging yourself to understand how to grow spiritually from the idea of self-imposed limitations. They will not all be the same. Some of them, in that sense, will not be as deep as others. It doesn't matter. You are all exploring the general theme, and in that sense, you have created that destiny. You will work that destiny out in this lifetime. But the way you go about it's up to your free will within that theme.
Bashar?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
You talked about free will and making choices, but if somebody wants to do something like what you're doing with channeling, Daryl took classes and did things like that to kind of get him going on that.
Well, that was a choice.
That was a choice.
Yes.
So,
remember that when contact was first made telepathically, the first question we asked was, you made the agreement, is it something you still want to do?
That's right.
Now, the channel could have said, no, thank you very much, you creepy alien fellow.
My point was that
However, the channel's greater self did want to do that and had aspects of the personality fought against it, then yes, the channel might have experienced more struggle than he did. But the idea, nevertheless, is that choices were made, but free will was still allowed. But there are also consequences to choices that are made within free will. Mm-hmm. There are always consequences. And if you wish to not recognize the idea of what it is that could be in alignment with positive, constructive, integrative energy, and choose the idea of negative, segregative, destructive energy, it is your free will choice, but there will be consequences. Yeah. Make sense?
Yeah. If somebody wanted to do what Daryl is doing,
yes,
suggestions on things that could assist a person to be able to channel entities like Bashar?
Well, there are many things you could do. Again, your imagination is paramount, but also understanding that if you wish to make that agreement, all you have to do then is be open to it and allow the synchronicity in your life to magnetically attract you toward the circumstances that will give you the ability and the opportunity to do it. That's all. Really, fundamentally. But it is up to you. If there is some particular methodology that seems to be more exciting to you than any other methodology, I would suggest that you specifically move in that direction. But any number of ways can allow you to open up to more of yourself or make connection to what you're calling other entities, such as myself. In that sense, it's really up to the personal way you wish to express and experience that idea. Whatever is most exciting for you is what will work best for you. And by being willing to simply allow your life to show you what can work for you, you will magnetically and automatically and effortlessly attract opportunities and circumstances that you may not even recognize as being opportunities that will get you there, but will be those opportunities. And all you have to know and all you have to do to know that you are staying in alignment like a compass needle with your true north is at every given moment, out of all the opportunities that present themselves to you, choose the one that's most exciting and act on it to the best of your ability. Take it as far as you can without expectation. And in the next moment, do the same thing. And the next moment, do the same thing. And you will be unerring in being yourself. And everything that you then agree to, and in that sense, will attract will come at the appropriate place and time automatically. Does that make sense?
Very much so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar,
Yes, yes.
what could you tell us about the following three things? I've heard the new grid system that is in place, an electromagnetic grid system that has shifted recently, is also being overlaid to coincide with a crystalline grid structure. And what can you tell us about what, at the present time in this dimension, this reality for us, what does our United States government know about aliens? Is there technology transfer? Is there constant contact that you might can share with us that's going on in terms of extraterrestrial aliens?
There is not constant contact. There have been some contacts. There has been some technology transference. It is not always aliens that they have been dealing with. There are other dimensional beings and parallel realities that would not necessarily be literally labeled as aliens. The idea of the shifting of the grids is simply a recognition that all the different levels are beginning to line up. As you accelerate your vibrational energy higher and higher and higher, then that will be reflected in the electromagnetic field of the planet on all levels. And all things that are conducive and conductive to that field will begin to line up in, again, the same way that a compass needle lines up along electromagnetic lines. These things will come more into coincidence with each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Understand that the idea of some of the beings that governments on your planet have interacted with from time to time, sporadically, or come into contact with one way or another, sporadically. Some of those beings are not literally extraterrestrial. One very prominent group, which typically goes by the label of gray, you understand? Yes. Are not extraterrestrial in the classic sense. They may, to some degree, fall into that category simply because they have the ability to travel to other planets and have colonies on different worlds. And in that sense, you could say they are extraterrestrial. But the Greys actually represent a parallel reality human history. That is why their DNA matches your DNA and can mingle with your DNA. They're actually human. But an alteration occurred in their history to their biological form. It had certain effects that they would like to change. They decided to change those effects by creating a hybrid species, one offshoot of which is my civilization. This hybrid species is a combination of their DNA and human DNA. And in their reality, in their history, since there are no longer any humans because they are the humans or what the humans have become, where are they going to get that human DNA? But from a parallel history. Yours and others. So when many individuals who have interacted with them ask them, "Who are you?" and they respond, "You are us," that's what they mean. They mean they are human, like you, but they have become something different because of what they have done to themselves in their reality that no longer allows them to reproduce. Do you understand? Yes? Yes?
Will telepathy become commonplace among our society?
Telepathy is commonplace. It's just that you don't always pay attention to the fact that it's going on. But it is telepathic. And the idea, again, is that it is not the idea of reading each other's minds. It is the idea of being in such synchronous harmony, the same vibrational wavelength, that you have the same thoughts at the same time. That's why people who are in love often know what each other is thinking. Because they're simply having the same thoughts at the same time, because they're on the same vibrational wavelength. That's what telepathy is. It's being in sync with another or others. Yes, the experience of telepathy will increase on your planet the more of you that are in love with yourselves. Because it is an emotionally activated experience, not a mentally activated one. It is an energetically, vibrationally activated experience, not a mentally activated one. It may be a mentally translated experience, but it's not a mentally activated experience. And that's why your scientists are befuddled when they try to test telepathic powers in the laboratory under such stringent conditions that they don't allow emotion in. They are negating the one factor that actually makes it work. Emotion. E-motion. Energy, motion.
What about the love between a mother and a child?
Well, what about it? Do you not see some of the strongest telepathic connections there?
That's the telepathic communication that I have with
Yes.
my child.
Well, as we said, in love means you are vibrating in synchronous harmony and thus generating the same thoughts at the same time, the same awareness of each other simultaneously. Make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Bashar,
Yes.
can you speak a little bit on the intended purpose of the ego? Because I feel
Yes. The intended purpose of the ego is to simply keep you focused in physical reality for the duration of that experience as you've chosen it.
so all the things we blame it for, like keeping us fearful and things like that, or we just made all that up?
Well, you have made it up, but the idea really is that you have given to the ego an overburden of task it was not designed to handle. Lack of willingness to take responsibility within yourselves puts things, in that sense, onto the ego that it has no business taking care of. Thus, in that sense, it has been, blown out of proportion. It has been made to think it's supposed to handle more than it was designed to handle, and thus, of course, it is no wonder that it becomes egomaniacal. It is overwhelmed with things it was never designed to take care of. But because you make it think it was, it gets giddy with the responsibility it is given that isn't its responsibility. It gets out of control with it. And then, when suddenly it realizes it's in charge of so much, it becomes fearful that it will lose control of all that and goes into negative ego. So yes, you have made the ego what it is, but that's not what it was really designed to do. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's really just a focusing implement to keep you focused in the physical game for as long as you believe it is necessary to experience that.
How could I take some of the burden off of the ego?
By taking more responsibility for the choices that you make as a whole being and communicating holistically within yourself rather than segregating yourself into a collection of parts, such as a conscious and a sub-conscious self. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you, yes.
Hang on a second.
1,000.
Question about healing modalities.
Healing modalities.
So that when someone is performing a healing, the
Yes.
person being healed takes the invitation or doesn't take the invitation to heal themselves.
Correct.
Okay, what does that say about these various healing modalities that are around? Years ago, I went through training to Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 and
Yes.
some other types of healing
Yes.
training, and now there's reconnective healing.
Yes.
And I'm trying to decide whether I should spend the time and energy and money doing that.
Well, whatever's most exciting.
Does it have a net effect on the patient for the person being healed, whether or not that training is in place?
Well, yes and no. It depends upon the belief system that you have about what you think you need to exemplify the vibration that will attract people to you.
Is it what's in my consciousness or the consciousness of the person being healed, or
Both. Remember, it's not this or that, it's this and that on higher levels of energy.
Okay.
So yes, you could just instantaneously, just spontaneously, without any quote-unquote formal education, say, I'm a healer. And if you mean it and act like it, you will be one. And whoever thus then is attracted to you will be attracted for their own purposes of either healing themselves or not healing themselves, but you will know you have provided the service for whatever serves them best according to their understanding of what they believe they need. And that's what a master healer does. Make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. There will be but a few moments remaining for this transmission.
Bashar,
Yes.
I'd like to ask, your fourth dimension, are you guys going into the fifth dimension?
Yes. Fourth density to fifth density. Even as you are transitioning from third to fourth, and Sirius from fifth to sixth.
Do you still have an ego?
I have one that I can utilize to help me focus in a manner that will allow this kind of communication to occur. I understand myself as an identity that is singular within all that is, but that's about it.
Can we ask personal questions?
That was a personal question.
I'm sorry. I meant, about...
Yes, I know what you meant, and obviously the answer is yes. Yes!
Can you tell me about someone that I met like 2 years ago?
What about them?
I feel very connected to them, but can you tell me like what the connection was previously?
You mean what is the connection going on simultaneously in other parallel realities?
Yes, Bashar.
Well, there are a multitude of them. How does the connections in other realities serve the connection you have experienced in this reality? That's the question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I need to give you the names of the people? Or?
That depends. You don't have to right now. What I will tell you is this. Anyone you meet at any moment in your life is, at that moment, your soulmate. Because they are the person, obviously, you needed to meet, or it would have been someone else. For whatever reason they are reflecting to you, whatever they are reflecting to you, that at that moment is the sole reason for the connection. Whatever it is you are reflecting to them, so that they can be more of themselves, even as what they are reflecting to you, as an offering and an opportunity for you to be more of yourself, is the sole reason for the connection. Whether that is reinforced by connections going on in other realities simultaneously, it is, but doesn't matter the specifics, because it all adds up to an amalgamated sum that is simply the connection that is going on now for the purpose of allowing you to see the reflection and give the reflection back, whatever that may be.
So is there no such thing as just one soulmate?
Not empirically, although you can make an agreement with an individuated soul to represent that idea singularly, one-on-one, if you wish. But just because people may do that doesn't mean that that's all a soulmate is, or that's the only interpretation a soulmate can take. Anyone that you interact with at any given moment, at that moment is the most important person you're interacting with, and for that moment they're your soulmate, no matter who it is or what the purpose is. We understand the other overarching definition of soulmate that you are talking about, and those kinds of agreements can be made, yes. We're simply saying that's not the only way to define soulmate.
Is there any differentiation between soulmate and twin soul?
Well, again, yes, there can be. They are all relatively arbitrary, only insofar as you're making up those differences as you go for your own specific purposes. It's not that those differences exist empirically. You make those differences for your own reflective purposes because those differences somehow mean something to you because you've put meaning into them, and thus they reflect something to you as a symbol and as a tool to help you with a particular idea. But they are not empirical realities. You just create them for your own specific use and purpose.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bashar, I have a question related to that too. I was recently given some information from another channeled entity like yourself. I had met someone in my life previously that was a soulmate at that point that I hoped would be a partnership for life. That individual is not around me now in physical reality.
All right.
I have another individual that is around me at this point that I've been told that their soulmate function now is to kick me back on the path if I begin to wander.
Oh, all right.
I'm aware of these two individuals. I'm aware of their two functions.
Yes.
But this subject's been brought up to me recently by a channeler, and what I was confused about is, why are they telling me, in essence, what I already know? Because it was like, you be aware that these dynamics are going on.
All right. Can I take the question a step even further back?
Please.
Why did you go to a channel to find out what you already knew?
Well, I went to the channel. I didn't really go to the channel. I was in a group where the person that does the channeling showed up.
There are no accidents.
Yes. I never asked a question.
Yes.
This was information was brought up to me, like,
right.
in essence, as you say, out of the blue.
And so then did you not get for yourself, in a sense, a reflection to show you that you were not wavering from the path?
Okay.
It's like a self-governing mechanism. You attract yourself into a situation where you will get reflected to you what you already know, so that you can recognize that because you already know it, that means you're staying aligned with your path.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I sensed that the reason that it was going on was that I had made certain choices in relation to all this.
Right now. Did you know what I just said?
Oh, you mean right now?
Yes, right now. Everything that I just said to you, did you know that?
Probably not consciously.
Oh, all right. Well, then, thank you for allowing me to remind you of what you do already know subconsciously. And thank you for playing.
I'd like to ask.
Yes.
We read a lot about the reptilians that are supposed to be here and their negative influences or whatever. I was wondering if you could shed a little light on that.
Click. Would you like a bigger light?
Yes.
Click. The idea of what you're referring to as the reptilians are simply that which is another species, in some ways in a relationship connected to the Greys. They are to some degree a blending, a different attempt, a different line, a different parallel reality, a different probable idea of what could have been on Earth, being that at one time you had what you called dinosaurs, and DNA was mixed to create something different. Could have been the dominant species, but wasn't, for a variety of reasons we will not go into now. Nevertheless, it isn't about the idea that they have the power to negatively influence anything. It is, however, about the idea that since they are a reflection of what you call your reptilian brain energy, they can certainly evoke the idea within you of fear to see if you're still vibrating on that level or not. I'm not saying that that's their particular agenda or purpose consciously, but interaction with them from time to time has caused your people to find out what vibrational level they are vibrating on and to determine whether or not they wish to remain there or recognize their own self-empowerment to take themselves to a higher level that in that sense is beyond and invisible to any kind of negative energy. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
One moment. We will, at this time, extend to each and every one of you our deepest appreciation in the co-creation of this interaction and the opening of this window and this door between our respective worlds. Each and every time this is done, a new third vibrational reality is created in which we can both exist closer and closer and closer in relation with one another. But allow us to please gently remind each and every one of you, interacting with us is not greater than interacting with yourselves. And only by being yourselves can you even create the ability for us to interact with you. You must meet us halfway. But we are more than willing to send our love to you for that purpose, should you decide to accept it and use it that way. For we, regardless of how you think of yourselves, we believe in you utterly. Otherwise, we would not be having this conversation. Our love to you, and a fond, exciting, and active good day. How did it go?